Hey guys, and welcome to part 2 of A Horse After God's Own Heart. The stuff that God was giving me was just too good to pack into one devotional, so I split it up into 2. And I'm just as excited about today's devotion as I was last week, so let's go ahead and get into it. So today I want to talk about a horse who was a little guy, but truly in his own right was a very big deal. His name was Money, and he was donated to the school that I used to work for. Now, he was short, like 13 hands or a little over, little guy. He was a bay gelding, and at the time that he came to us, he was the oldest horse in the barn. Now, don't let all that fool you. He was a really cool horse. He had had a show career in cutting and was really kind of something to watch. Now, he came with another horse, Velvet, and she was about as cute as a horse could be. She was a Grula with a reining background and the biggest doughy eyes I have ever seen on a horse. She was just the sweetest little mare and a lot younger than Money. Now, the kids always got excited about new horses, but it was pretty clear to see that based on first impressions, who the coveted horse was, Velvet. We pretty much didn't have any trouble getting any of the kids to ride her. She was just real appealing and easy to get along with. Money, on the other hand, we sometimes had to convince the kids to go ahead and give him a try. He was the shortest and oldest horse at the barn, so naturally the kids thought that he kind of might be a dud to ride. It wouldn't take long though for them to realize that Money was actually a lot of fun to ride. He would really get after it, and he would move with a faster reaction time than most of the horses in our program, if not all of them. And if they got him on the flag or a cow, they had better hang on, because chances were that they couldn't keep up with Money Man. So he quickly rose in the ranks at the barn and became one of the favorites. We actually had to set limits so that he wouldn't get overworked because the kids just enjoyed him so much. Velvet, on the other hand though, her appeal kind of lost some of its luster, even though she still was a really good horse in her own right. Now, as it is with all of us, we're all different, and for the riders of Velvet, they learned that she wasn't the fastest or most sensitive horse at the barn. If you're not familiar with horses, what I mean by that is that she tended to do things without much of a sense of urgency. And she pretty much didn't care if you wanted her to do something faster. Okay, she had her speed, and she pretty much stuck with it no matter how hard her kid was kicking and urging her forward. Now, this is not a bad trait, okay? She was quite excellent for beginner students, and she would help them feel safe and build their confidence. Where it became frustrating, though, is as they grew and felt more comfortable and got more advanced, they wanted to do like the cool reining and cow horse maneuvers and do things, a lot faster. And Velvet, that she wasn't really all about that. So I really enjoy remembering these wonderful horses and the lessons that they taught the kids. They also create good examples of why you can't tell what something or someone is like based solely on first impressions. So let's go back to our passage in 1 Samuel chapter 16. If you remember from part 1, the prophet Samuel is at the house of Jesse, and he's there to anoint the new king of Israel. He sees the eldest son and assumes that must be him. God corrects him though and tells him not to judge based on appearances or first impressions. God was looking deeper. He was looking for a man after his own heart. So Samuel continues on down the line of sons, and God rejects all 7 that are present. Well, this can't be right. So Samuel asks, is this it? Do you have any other sons? And Jesse says, no, I still have one more, but he's out tending the sheep. Well, bring him here, says Samuel. We won't continue until he's here. So David comes, and he's young and attractive, but he doesn't exactly look like, the leadership type. He definitely looks like what you expect a shepherd boy to look like. But God says, yep, that's him. So he anoints David, and it says that the Spirit of God came upon David. This is all of my paraphrasing of verses 8 through 13. Now, you can't help but when you hear this story to feel a little bit sad for David. I mean, he wasn't invited to this special event, and his dad didn't even mention him by name when the prophet asked about him. That's how far-fetched of an idea that it was that David was the one that Samuel was looking for. Now, I'm not blaming his dad, and certainly somebody needed to look after the livestock. I mean, if you've ever worked with animals, you know that they don't allow for holidays, sick days, or time off. But if you've ever been overlooked, you understand what I'm talking about and feel for David. Thankfully, God never overlooks anyone, and he doesn't let others' opinions sway his decision or judgment. David would go on to be the greatest king among men in God's eyes. We know this because one of Jesus' titles would be the Son of David. That's a pretty high honor. Also, his name would then go on to be mentioned 1,000 times in the Bible. Talk about making up for your dad not saying your name to the prophet. But that's who God is, and that's what God does. So it doesn't matter if anyone else would approve of or would choose you, because God chose you. King David and Money the horse create such a good picture of what God does for his children. Even if we don't get picked first by man, God has a victory for us that will eventually shine through in such a way that others won't be able to deny it. That's our story. God has victory for each and every one of his children. So don't be discouraged if your life doesn't look like the picture of success. God has a plan, and God's plan will always put to shame the best plan among the world. So hope that fuels you as much as it did me this week. So until next time, y'all have a good week. Bye.